loans give more returns. Get more security and more interest on your fixed deposits from Sri Lanka's largest finance company, LOLC Finance.
I'm Alyna Haji Omar, founder CEO of Audacity, and I'm here today to answer living's burning questions.
Hi Alyna, welcome to Living Gets Real. It's lovely to have you with us today. So let's get into the first question. Can you tell us briefly about your journey into advertising? You've been in the field for quite a long time. So tell us your story behind it.
So yes, it's been 25 years, and I think that the journey started with this idea that, or with this awareness that I had about myself. I have never once willingly backed down from a good fight ever, and I would call it a healthy disregard for authority, a healthy disregard for the status quo. All of that combined with the fact that I was 19 years old, I'd finished my A-level, I had not a lot to do at that point, and someone suggested, oh, why don't you try advertising? I did have no clue what advertising was at the time. I still remember, it's been 25 years now, but I still remember picking out the outfit to wear for my little interview. And I walked into to grants at the time, and it changed my life. It has been the best 25 years ever. What I found in there was I found people with such strong opinions, people with passion, people with a strong sense of identity. And to think for a 19-year-old who's just discovering who they are and just experimenting with the world, to find all of these people who were such distinct personalities was just mind-blowing. And to take that innate sort of feeling I had inside, that I had to explore, that I had to find answers to the world's problems, I had to figure things out. That energy and that spirit was welcomed at grants, and the years just flew by. It's taken me all over the world. It's taken me to the most wonderful friendships. It has given me love. It has given me recognition. It has celebrated me. It has taught me some hard lessons. It has made me so aware of who I am. And it's just been the best. I've had the most wonderful time. So I'm very grateful for the industry.
Very interesting. So could you tell us what Audacity is all about, and what was the inspiration behind this particular name?
So remember what I told you about not backing down from a good fight? That was essentially, so when the journey at JWT came to an end, I spent a lot of time trying to figure out what those next steps were going to be. What did I want the next 25 years to feel like? And to be able to do that, I went right back to me. I looked at who I was, what had defined the last 25 years, and then I realized that that it is that innate audacity or courage that I have had and I have tried to bring. How it is, I have been described as, that the audacity of that one, or look at that child, look at the audacity of that child, or oh my God, the audacity of that decision. That has been the way people have described me. It has been the cause for a lot of reflection as far as I'm concerned. As I have grown, I have also come to appreciate that is really the strongest thing about me, is how audacious I can be when I am solving a problem, when I am coming into a situation, when I'm creating something. So I really drew from that. It's very personal to who I am. The other side to audacity is that if I were to look around the last 25 years, I would think that what separates the good brands from the great ones, the good narratives from the really great narratives, is audacity. Peter Thiel once said, "Brilliant thinking is rare, but courage is in even shorter supply than genius." And that really struck me when I read that, when I heard it, when I reflected on that through the lens of 25 years of experience. I agree, and I think that was how I realized through say the beginning of last year through to the middle of last year, that's how I wanted to really explore what was in front of me. That's what I would bring to the table, that was uniquely mine to bring, and that is really the origin story of Audacity. And our ethos, our slogan, our call to action is Audacity Wins, and that comes from the belief that what will set us apart, what will help us win as brands, as people, as communities, as a country, is this idea that bravery when it comes to reframing a problem, bravery when it comes to understanding what is at the heart and the motivation of why and how things are happening, that bravery and being able to reframe through that lens, to be able to look at culture and say, this is how our values have changed, this is how the company has changed, this is how the country has changed, this is how our community has changed. That understanding that with a lot of honesty and a lot of insight is how you win. So Audacity wins when you bring all of that to the table. And that's what we need right now. We need that energy to say that as especially as a country, as women in this country, we need to win, right? And that is the energy behind Audacity. And hopefully there is space for it as we go forward.
So you were telling us about how Audacity wins. So can you give us maybe an example or two of how this translated into a project that you have done or are currently doing or something like that, so we get an idea of what it means to be audacious?
Yes, so there are a couple of things. We've been really lucky. We hit the ground running with some really interesting problems and some really brave clients and brand custodians. Well, there are two really great examples that I'd like to talk about. The first was a project that we did for Hemas, and their problem, or rather the brief in itself, was how do you create an energy and a thinking, a culture shift around how we approach brands, how do you create an ecosystem of curiosity and empathy, and euphoria around how people will battle through insights and mine for insights. And to that, the solution that we presented was the Hemas Audacity Empathy Gym. And it works on multiple levels. It is a physical space, it is a digital space, and it is also a training space. So it has multiple facets to it. So the Hemas Audacity Empathy Gym, the first empathy gym in Sri Lanka, has been something that we have been really excited about, and the results from that have been quite phenomenal, and just thrilling to watch how we are learning from it, how we are learning to modify it, how people are responding to it. All of that has come through. The second project that I really feel so thrilled by is our work for YouLead, and the project in itself was called Atapas. It was a 10-part teledrama, made for social. So it was a webby drama that we created that was at the end of last year. That too had so much to it. It had original music that was produced for it. It brought in the a community of writers and creators that were outside of advertising. It was in that whole teledrama space. It was in the space of bringing in young actors who had never acted in mainstream projects before. And it was about treating that entire brief and reframing that brief in a way that powerful new ideas and powerful conversation could be derived out of it.
Okay, so as a female leader, what has been the most significant barrier you've had to break in your career of 25 plus years?
I thought, the answer to that could also be my audacity. It's been so interesting that breaking in was not the problem, right? I was groomed in a family of very strong women. I was blessed and lucky to go to a school that was all about grooming independent, strong women. My first job was a company that was so innately feminist and so strong and full of opportunity for young women that breaking in was not the problem. Putting in the hard work and rising in the ranks was also not the problem. In that I had huge capacity for hard work, and I loved it. It never ever felt like work. It just felt like I was having the time of my life right through. Being recognized for it wasn't the problem. I've had the wonderful privilege of setting up companies like Response Marketing, and that was just an incredible experience. The learning from it and the outcomes from it were just wonderful. From there, I was the younger CEO of JWT, breaking into that system, moving from something that was innately an independent agency into a network agency was almost seamless. Where I did realize that, I have to also say before I say that, it was a living interview as I was about to get into JWT when a similar question was asked. And I can see my naivety now, 7 years down the line, when I said at that point, no, I haven't felt it, and I feel like we are progressing as a society. Well, then the 7 years happened, and I realized just how naive that statement was, because what I found from there was that it wasn't the outcome of the work. It wasn't the work that people had opinions on or where I had pushed that from. It was essentially, she's very good, but is she very likable? So this whole idea of the results are marvelous, we're growing double digits year on year, all of that, but is she likable? Is she a nice girl, right? This keeps coming back, and when you drill down into that, it comes down to, did you have to make the tough decisions that any CEO has to make? Do you have to prioritize growth in an environment where growth is a key driver? Do you have to challenge and push people? Do you have to figure out how you keep the whole ship running through multiple different macro situations? So all of the decisions that any CEO would have to make, and any male CEO would have to make, was reflected back in terms of through this lens of, but is she very nice? and I think that if there was anything in the early years that before my skin grew this thick, I suppose, you take that in, right? That feedback tends to sting, and then as you go along, when you find that is reiterated in different ways, it's always a question of you have this idea that girls are raised to be good and boys are raised to be brave. The outcome of that is that you expect men to make those hard decisions, the tough decisions, to do the tough stuff, and and you rally around them and you cheer them on as they're doing that. I was raised to be brave. I was raised to be brave by incredibly brave women and incredibly feminist men. And I found that translating that into an environment that isn't always sure how to process strong women and how to celebrate strong women, I found that sort of feedback was the one that kept kind of throwing me off a little bit. Why would anybody be focused on whether I smiled or whether I did this or whether I was polite when I was reprimanding somebody that needed to be reprimanded? These are the things that have kept striking me as the barriers that I have had to face personally.
Very interesting. No, it was a very interesting take on how because when you generally ask that question from a lady, they say the sometimes very obvious answers, right? But you've broken it down into something that you never thought of the way you think. I suppose that's.
But it was just true. That's how I felt right through it, and that's even today. Like I had somebody ask me in an interview, and you can bleep this out. They said, "Oh, so many people think you're a right?" And I was like, "Yes." But equally, so many people recognize that companies have been built and brands have been built and legacies have been built and all of that. So focus on some of that instead of how do I temper myself and how do I articulate sometimes. And not to say that there are not things I have to learn about being a little nicer sometimes, but I don't know that that's important.
So you mentioned that you had strong women, even in your household, to your school, to your first workplace, right? So how do these women, how were they mentors to you? Are there any specific women who inspired you? And how did they do that?
Yeah, I'd like to start from home to start with. So from my dad's side, my grandmother was 19 when she sailed down from Damascus to Colombo to become the third wife of my grandfather, right? And she spoke no English. She clearly spoke no Sinhalese. She was coming from Syria to Sri Lanka. Chalk and cheese in terms of the culture, the way things were. She had 7 children, right? My father was the youngest of those 7 children, and my grandfather passed away 3 months after my father was born. So my whole life I've had an experience only of my grandmother, and we used to call her Teto. So she was this fierce woman who in the end spoke more Sinhala along with her Arabic and her Memani than she did English, and she just flew through life. She didn't let language hold her back. She had a real sense of who she was and how the house would run, how the children would run, how the grandchildren would run. Then you take my mother. My mother is she's wonderful. She's all the things that I will possibly never be in my life. But I have this vivid memory of her. So she was a city girl. She studied in Bangalore, all of that kind of thing. As I was born, my dad decides to take her off to Manna Island, and they live in a fishing hut, right? So how this girl from Colombo transferred to this fishing hut in Manna, and then soon after that, when things up north got a little too rickety, they moved to a farm in Pitipana, Homagama, and we didn't have electricity. We had a tiny little when electricity did come, we had a tiny little black and white TV, and that was our connection back to life, right? And I have this vivid memory of, and I don't know how much of this is actual memory versus the legend of how this story has been retold and retold and retold, where she's holding on to the horns of this cow that's suddenly gone a bit cray, and she's holding on to the cow's horns like this. So it's woman versus cow, and she's saying, you know, "La mai vetutagini under," right? And this is the kind of energy that was around me. This was the type of women who would do what had to be done to make sure that the people around them were thriving and growing and, you know, going forward. Moving from there, ladies' college was just incredible. We were taught to be innately fierce, and I have to say, our principal, Siransi Gunawardna, our vice principal, Mrs. Dumbukola, these were all strong women who had everything sorted out, but allowed us to be who we were. We were innately independent young women, discovering our strengths, standing up for ourselves, making mistakes, learning from them, and growing. So I took all of that into grants, and the first person I met there was Laila, and she hired me. And what I found in her was yet another woman who would refuse to apologize for anything, that unapologetically strong. I am making the decisions that have to be made. We are doing the things that have to be done, and we have a plan, and we're igniting this plan. That was the energy that she had. I was never a friend, or I was just too young to know Nilamani very closely while I was growing in the industry, but I had the pleasure of knowing her towards the end. And yet another magnificently fierce, unapologetic woman leader who had the strength and the gumption and the courage to do what had to be done. These are the people that keep, you know, reverberating in my brain as I make decisions and I decide how I want to craft my own path. It has been that way for the last 25 years, and hopefully I will take that spirit right through. Right.
Okay, so being in the industry for so long and starting Audacity, what kind of advice would you give the next generation of female leaders or females?
Yeah, I would say just be yourself. There will be a lot of pressure to conform to a tonality. People will want to put you in various boxes that they think are right for you. And this advice it'll not just be pushback sometimes from men, it'll be from women as well, that there is a preconceived idea of what you should sound like, dress like, think like, act like, how you should be in how the right way to be in this situation will be. And if there is anything I have learned, it is just constantly go back to what do you believe. What is your idea? What is your opinion on something? What is your way of processing something? Because it is that infusion of new ways of thinking, new ways of expressing, and new ways of being that is going to trigger growth and change. So, do you? That's my advice.
The key to quality and efficiency. Be a jewel. Professionalism is the jewel in the corporate crown.
Refresh Sri Lanka for a civic-minded society. In association with 99X. LMD, the voice of business.
Welcome back, Alyna. So we have this game for you, and today's game for you is What Am I? So I'll give you a little narrative where you figure out what am I. So it's an object, it can be a person, so it can be various different things. So let's start with the first one. When I'm young, I'm tall. When I'm older, I'm short. What am I?
I have no idea. I hate these type of questions. My brain just goes blank. I have absolutely no idea. When I'm
young, I'm tall. When I'm older, I'm short. What am I? It's an object. It's something we use.
days?
No.
Just like completely useless at this. Right? I'm never gonna get it.
Okay, so we had blackouts, right? Recently.
Candles.
Right. Okay.
You should know that people leave me out of games, Pictionary, all of these things. People just sit like, no, you sit this one out.
My head and tail will never meet. It's always fun to have too much of me. What am I? What? Okay, what has a head and a tail? It's an object. It's not a living being.
A head and a tail. I'm only thinking dogs.
It's not a living thing. It's not a living thing.
Table? No.
We use it
Tail.
in our day-to-day.
This is going nowhere.
A coin. Okay. I shave every day, but my beard remains the same. Who am I? This is a person.
I shave every day, but my beard remains the same.
It's a person.
No idea.
A barber.
Why
Okay.
are you tormenting me? You know, my competitive side is now really like boiling over, and I'm like, damn it, I need to practice for these things.
So I help you from top to bottom. The more you make me work, the smaller I get. What am I?
I help you from top to bottom.
The more you make me work, the smaller I get.
Soap.
Correct. Yes. I don't have wings, but I can fly. I have no eyes, yet I cry. Darkness follows me everywhere I go. So it's...
I have no wings, but I can fly.
I have no eyes, yet I cry. I can cry. Darkness follows me everywhere I go. So this thing can block out the light as well.
Clouds.
Correct. Okay. I can measure heat. I am a god and a planet. What am I?
I can measure heat.
I am a god and a planet.
Mercury.
Yes. I cannot be thrown but can be caught. Ways to get rid of me are always sought. What am I?
I cannot be.
I cannot be thrown but I can be caught. Ways to get rid of me are always sought.
Fever, flu, cough,
It comes with that.
cold.
Yes. I have no trunk, fruit or leaves, but I have branches. What am I?
I have no
Trunk, fruit or leaves, but I have branches. What am I?
Have no fruit, trunk, or leaves.
But I have branches.
Is it like a plant?
No, it's not. It's a
Place? Branches of a company, office,
Yeah, a bank.
a bank.
Okay, so close enough, right? Okay. I am a seed with a three-lettered name. If you take away two, my sound remains the same. What am I?
I am a seed.
With a three-letter name. If you take away two, my sound remains the same. What am I? There is a fairy tale story around this.
A bean.
And no.
It involves a princess.
Pea.
Yes.
Princess and the pea.
More is left behind the more you take.
I have.
Footsteps.
Who comes up with stuff like this?
The internet.
ChatGPT, where are you when I need you?
Okay. Despite having several teeth, I cannot bite. I'm mostly used in the mornings but rarely at night.
A comb.
Okay. Despite having 2 hands, I am unable to scratch myself. What am I?
Clock.
Correct. You're getting good at it. Okay. I am at the start of everything and at the end of everywhere. I am at the start of eternity and at the end of both time and space. Correct. Though I wave my hands at you, I don't say goodbye. And when I am high, you're always cool around me. What am I?
A fan.
Very good. You can't touch me or catch me even though I constantly follow you and mirror your every move.
Shadow.
Alright, you're getting it. I can kill you if I surround you. I'm always in you and sometimes on you. What am I?
I can kill you
If I surround you. I'm always in you and sometimes on you.
water.
Yes. I am something that always goes up and never comes down. What am I?
Always goes up and never comes down.
It's connected to a person, to people, any human, any living creature, I suppose. But predominantly more for humans.
Age?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Now this is very Sri Lankan. The more I lie, the more people trust me. Who am I?
Oh no!
Politician. Yes. Absolutely a politician.
Okay. What do you call a skeleton that makes you laugh and giggle when you're sad?
What do you call a skeleton that makes you
Makes
laugh,
you laugh
and
and giggle when you're sad. Funny bone.
I was thinking that.
I go from Z to A. What am I?
From Z to A.
Yeah.
Backwards?
No, Z to A. Starts with Z, ends with A. I go from Z to A. Zebra.
Horse.
I can fill an entire room without taking up any space at all. What am I? I can fill an entire room without taking up any space.
Laughter?
No. We have it here in this room.
Yeah. Light.
Yes. Okay. The last one. I have no life, but I can die. What am I?
I have no life.
But I can die.
Light.
No. How does the light come on? If you put it that way.
Electricity.
Yeah, so if we don't have electricity, what is your option to make the light come on?
Fire.
We have it on our handheld devices as well.
Wi-Fi. Battery. So thankfully this is finished. There you have it. These are my answers to the questions and the game. Be sure to check Living's Instagram and Facebook for the latest episodes of Living Gets Real. Bye!